Today on the 1-0 Sports Show, Texas basketball is back. We do some NFL midseason trivia, and we ask the question, can Texas survive Kansas in football? All this and more coming up on the 1-0 Sports Show. Welcome into the 1-0 Sports Show. I'm Adam Ogburn, joined by Clark Dalton today. Clark, how you doing?
I'm great. It's been a long time since I've been on air for the show, so it's glad to be here and looking forward to having a fun morning here.
Yeah, for sure. Good to have you on. Plenty to talk about today. Football is right in the middle of the season. College basketball is back. NBA is kind of getting the swing of things. But first, we got to start with a 1-0 classic. Who's hot and who's not? Clark, let's start with you. Who's hot for you this week?
Well, who is hot for me this week? Adam, it's the best football team in the state of Texas, at least for college, by record. It's not Texas A&M. It's not TCU. It's definitely not the Texas Longhorns. It is UTSA, who is 9-0 this season. And what makes this so impressive is Jeff Traylor's done a great job. This guy was an assistant for a long time under Mac Brown and Charlie Strong. Never really got a chance to be a head coach until last year. Bill takes over a UTSA team that's only not even a decade old. Their program was established in 2011, has no resources, has nothing to work with, and starts building it up. And year two, he has them rolling. They're 9-0. They're fun to watch. They have a lot of talented players. Sincere McCormick, he averages nearly 120 yards per game on the ground, and they're scoring nearly 40 points per game. So to come in and take something that is nothing, this is basically bringing your team builder team in NCAA 14 to life. It's a really cool story, and I think they're going to have a really fun season at the end of the year, and I think they could make a big splash when we have our bowl season.
Yeah, for sure. Cool thing about Jeff Traylor, too, he cut his teeth in Texas high school football. He was a coach up in Gilmer in East Texas for 10, 15 years. So definitely cool to see, like you said, him now get a shot as a head coach and having great success at the FBS level. For me, I'm going to flip over to basketball. Navy was taking on a ranked Virginia team this past Tuesday. And how about the midshipmen coming out with a 8-point victory against Virginia? John Carter led the way with 19 points for Navy. Virginia, they didn't score for 8.5 minutes. They only got a 3 with 15 seconds left. And after that, it was obviously too little too late. Navy plays Virginia Tech tonight. They have a chance to sweep Virginia, but that win over the Cavaliers on Tuesday, their first win over a ranked opponent since 1986, a long time coming. So definitely impressive win for the midshipmen. It'll be definitely interesting to see if they can sweep Virginia with a win over the Hokies tonight.
I like the way they can shoot the basketball. And hey, Navy basketball does have some tradition. David Robinson from the Spurs coming over. Now's the time to move into the who's not hot. Do we have to be negative on?
Yeah, we got to flip to the opposite now, Clark. Who's not hot for you?
Oh, this is painful. Look, Adam, you know what drives me crazy in sports? The thing that drives me crazy is wasted potential. And that defines the Minnesota Timberwolves. In fact, it defines their whole franchise history at this point. Kevin Garnett, nothing. Kevin Love, nothing. And Andrew Wiggins, nothing. He's better on the Warriors. They failed to develop him. He had 35 points in their game, then their loss to the Warriors on Tuesday. And now they have Anthony Edwards, who's this great young player, and he scored 48 points in their loss to the Warriors, and they still lost. And Anthony Edwards is having a great season with 25 points per game, but the Timberwolves are awful. They're 3-7. They look completely clueless on both ends of the floor, and it's just really frustrating for me to see because it's not like they haven't had the opportunity to build their franchise possibly. They've had plenty of great players. They've never turned Karl Anthony Towns into the monster he could have been. D'Angelo Russell, for some reason, still has he's like one of the, what's the Jack in the Box. He's like a Jack in the Box. You never know what you're going to get. And now they have Anthony Edwards, and I'm afraid he's going to go on the wayside that Kevin Love and Kevin Garnett did, where he's this great player on this terrible team that even if they do make the playoffs, they're not going to make a run. I'm really frustrated to see this with the Timberwolves. I think they could be good, but they just fail to do it every year.
Yeah, for sure. Off the top of my head, I think they only have one playoff berth in about the last 17 years, but it's really mind-boggling that this team has high draft capital year after year after year. They get the talent, like you said, and then they're awful every year. It's just really weird to see. I'm going to flip gears, go across the Atlantic over to Europe. A really weird story out of France this week. PSG women's soccer team, Aminata Diallo, one of their players, she was arrested after her teammate Kara Hamroui was injured in a violent attack. Two masked men pulled her from a car and hit her with an iron bar. Just a really bizarre story. Diallo and Hamroui, they compete for playing time. So it's almost just like Tanya Harding, Nancy Kerrigan vibes again. So just a really bizarre and kind of concerning story out of Europe this week, especially for a team with a high of a profile as PSG.
Yeah, it's really unfortunate just to see that. You hate to see an incident like that, especially when you're using the name like Nancy Kerrigan. You know the severity of the situation.
Yeah, it seems just like a very similar story. So obviously our thoughts and prayers out to him, really, and we hope for a quick recovery for her. But now it's time to move on from who's hot, who's not. Let's do some what's trending. And how about Texas basketball? They had a doubleheader opening day at the Frank Irwin Center on Tuesday. The women absolutely obliterated New Orleans with a 131-36 victory, and the men were just as impressive in the nightcap, a 92-44 victory over Houston Baptist. Clark, what did you make of the two teams on opening night?
What I made is that I had one overarching concern going into the season for both teams, and that was their ability to shoot the three ball. Just because with Chris Beard's team, you didn't really know what you were getting with the transfer portal. Like, you look at some guys like Timmy Allen and you look at their shooting statistics specifically from the three-point line at Utah. That was something to be a bit concerned about. And the same thing with Vic Schaefer's team as well, just because they lost some players. Celeste Taylor is gone now. She was kind of the clutch three-point shooter that they always relied on. So I didn't know if they were going to be able to go out and just stroke it from deep, but both teams did. The women were excellent in their game against New Orleans. They could not miss. And what was impressive for Texas is the shooters you expected to shoot well were Jace Febris and Andrew Jones. We know those guys can stroke it from anywhere, but really who impressed me was Courtney Ramy. His jump shot has improved tremendously. It's much more smooth. It's much more fluid. I think his elbow's in a little bit more, which is why he's shooting the ball so well. And even so, their big guys can, pop out and shoot every once in a while, like Trey Mitchell. And three-point shooting is so important in the modern game because coaches always talk about that concept of spacing across the floor where you can have five guys out on the perimeter and anybody can play from anywhere, and that's truly that positionless basketball. I think if Texas can continue to do this, both teams are going to be really fun to watch and it's going to score a lot of points.
Yeah, for sure. The men went 13 of 22 from the three-point line, so obviously probably not going to shoot 60% from three-point every game, but definitely impressive. I thought Marcus Carr looked really impressive. It's just really interesting to see how these transfers are going to gel. But this Texas team, I think the biggest thing that struck me was the depth of this Texas team. I mean, Chris Beard was rolling out subs every 90 seconds, 2 minutes. I mean, this team goes 8, 9, 10 deep, and they didn't even have who would probably be their top rebounder in Dylan Dessou. He's out injured right now, so it'll be interesting to see when he comes back. So you add him to an already deep rotation. This Texas team I think is going to be scary in Big 12 play. Moving over to the women, one stat I saw which was really impressive. I mean, how about these freshmen? Kendall Hunter, she outscored New Orleans herself in the first half. She had 21 points. The Pirates only had 13 points at the half, New Orleans did. Then Rory Harmon, another freshman, she had a team-high 8 assists. And then, like you said, you get some more experience. Joanne Allen Taylor had 15 points herself. So it's kind of a good blend. You see those freshmen stepping up, but then you also have a couple of experienced veterans like Allen Taylor, who's going to be able to help this women's basketball team. And I think Vic Schaefer's the real deal, taking Texas to the Elite Eight last year. He won in Starkville, and if you can win in Starkville, I think you can come in to Austin and win as well. So I think definitely very promising night on Tuesday at the Irwin Center. Both teams, though, we'll learn a lot more about them this weekend. Texas women's basketball taking on Stanford, and the men with that huge test against Gonzaga. Moving on now to our next topic. How about Monday night? So we're going to go back even earlier in the week. Man, there was a refereeing controversy, a lot to sort out here. Bills taking on the Steelers. Bears taking on the Steelers. I think I said Bills there. Bears linebacker Cassius Marsh with a weird taunting penalty. He gets a huge sack for Ben Roethlisberger. It's going to force a 4th down, but then the officials throw a taunting penalty. It's an automatic 1st down for Pittsburgh. Apparently, he took a couple of steps towards the Steelers bench. I don't know, Clark. What did you make of this whole situation?
It was a disaster. because there was a lot going on that play. Did you also see what happens with the hip check?
The hip check, yeah, it's in the video, yeah.
And if y'all are watching at home, you can see that's what the problem was. And I thought it was absolutely ridiculous to see this on Monday Night Football in a primetime game. You want your best crew out there, and clearly, I hate to say it, but that crew was not on top of their game that night. And this has been really frustrating because I feel like this has kind of been going on for pro sports for a long time, where we just see officiating that, I don't know, it doesn't feel like it's within the essence and flow of the game, and you just kind of see officials being petty towards certain players and throwing penalties at them. So it's just really frustrating to see, and it's something you need to be accountable of, because it actually affected the result of the game. Like, you can have proof. Like, you can always say, well, you got to just deal with the bad calls. No, a 15-yard penalty is a 15-yard penalty, and it's an automatic first down. And maybe if that doesn't happen, the Bears don't have to kick a 65-yard field goal. So Chicago fans, Jason Conander, if you're watching, you have a right to complain. He comes on the show a lot. And I think the NFL should crack down on this immediately before it becomes an even bigger problem.
It almost flashes back to the biggest Monday night refereeing fail of all time. Yeah, the old fail Mary. But yeah, I mean, just a mess. And I mean, look at Cassius Marsh. He was just signed the Bears practice squad November 3rd. He'd only been with the team for about a week. So this is a guy who's just made a big time play in a big time primetime game. I mean, he takes a couple of steps towards the Steelers bench. Maybe he gestures at them a little bit. There's really nothing too obvious. There's nothing too kind of blatant there. And so, I mean, I feel like at this point, you know, maybe it's a little bit different in high schoolers. You got teenagers. Maybe you're trying to teach them a lesson. But, I mean, these are grown men trying to support their family, man. They got a little bit of excitement after they just made a huge play, especially a guy who's only been on a team for a week, stepping up in the moment. I mean, I just feel like it's a failure on the part of the NFL referees.
Absolutely.
Final question. We're going to stay in the NFL. Big news yesterday. Cam Newton is coming back to Carolina. The Panthers signing him after Sam Darnold. He's out injured right now. So the Panthers' current starting quarterback is P.J. Walker. Clark, what do you make of this? Do you think this will work for the Panthers? Is this a good idea?
I think this is the best move of 2015. Sorry about that. That was a bad joke. But look, I love Cam Newton, and he definitely belongs in a Panthers jersey. But look, this team is not talented enough to win a Super Bowl in the first place. They're not going to compete with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers in this division. And Cam Newton's getting a lot older. His arm strength just isn't there anymore. His athleticism is starting to dwindle a little bit. And if Cam did get another shot with a winning team, I think it would be a good move for that team. Like, let's say he went to the Cowboys and, you know, Dak had to sit out for a game. I think Cam could come in for a few games and win. But I just don't think this is the right fit for him right now, because this is a team that's rebuilding. Christian McCaffrey has a ton of health issues. He's had a lot of injuries over the past couple seasons. And, you know, the coaching staff, you're not really sure if Matt Rule has the sense of everything, even though I do like Joe Brady's game plan. It seems like defensive coordinators are starting to figure that out. So it's unfortunate, but I just think that Cam right now at this point in his career is going to have to accept the fact that maybe he's not a star anymore, and the Panthers' days with him as their prime attraction are numbered and maybe even gone.
Yeah, for me, I think the question for me is, I mean, what do both parties have to lose from this? I like the move personally. I think you make a great point. I mean, he's not going to come in and lead them on an 8-game winning streak or anything like that. But this is a guy who led them to a Super Bowl appearance. He was the first overall pick in 2011. He's got a lot of history with this franchise. So I think it's good for them to have that reunion. It'll be interesting now, does he unseat P.J. Walker or not? The GM, Scott Fitter, he came in, he said the idea of bringing Cam here is for him to play. So, you know, is it going to be in packages? I think, like you said, maybe it's going to be hard to see him as a starter, but I mean, they're only 1.5 games back of second place in the NFC South. They started 3-0. They're 1-5 in the last 6. So obviously what they've been doing isn't working. You know, is P.J. Walker the answer? He's never really been a consistent starter in the NFL, really, or hasn't really even started in the NFL. So they don't really know what they have in him. So I think bringing an experienced vet like Cam, who knows Carolina well, I think it's a good move by the Panthers. Will it produce anything fruitful on the field? I'm not so sure. I think we'll have to wait and see on that one. But that is it for our first segment. Coming up, Emme Bassnet will join us. We'll go over some of the top plays and biggest bloopers from the week. You won't want to miss it. You're watching the 1-0 Sports Show. Welcome back into the 1-0 Sports Show. It's time to play a game we like to call Versus. Joined here by Emme Bassnet. Emme, thanks for coming on. How are you doing this morning?
I'm doing great. I'm really excited to see what you guys have for me.
Yeah, for sure. Let's start it off. We mentioned basketball kind of getting back in the full swing of things. Let's start off in the NBA. Our best NBA play from this week Clark, you want to go first?
Yeah, I'll go first. So, as I said, come on, play computer. There we go. As I said earlier this week, a lot of NBA stuff. Steph Curry, scoop pass Andrew Wiggins, boom! On his former team, putting Karl Anthony Towns on the poster. Yeah, I'd be clowning him too. Dude, this is an awesome dunk. This is why he was a #1 overall pick in the NBA draft. Andrew Wiggins going cold on his former team.
Yeah, just adding to why the Timberwolves were he's not hot this week.
That's why. You see that defense right there? There was no help defense on the baseline.
I'm actually going to go against this. I've actually got a good Timberwolves play, which is probably going to be a rarity this year. But how about this? Taking on the Grizzlies, 1 second left in the game. Look at this. Karl Anthony Towns just throwing up a prayer. Oh, and it goes
That's
in to
impressive.
send the
I gotta
game to
get him.
overtime. A pretty incredible shot by their big man. So, I mean, you talk about the undeveloped talent. At least, I guess Karl Anthony Towns can throw up miraculous threes. So, Emmy, is it going to be bad Timberwolves or good Timberwolves? Who wins this round?
Okay, well, before this even started, I was like, somebody better have had something from that game with the Andrew Wiggins dunk. So I'm gonna have to say Clark, just because I really wanted something like that going in. But that was incredible, and I love the Timberwolves reaction. That's just awesome. That's why people play sports.
There you go. And like you said, Clark, Andrew Wiggins finally developing now that he's away from Minnesota.
See, it shows you. When you go to good teams, you actually get good.
Yeah.
Well, let's stay in basketball. College basketball got going this Tuesday. I'm going to go first on this one. Let's head up to the middle of America. Wichita State taking on Jacksonville State. How about this? 12 seconds to go, clock ticking down. Tyson Etienne with the ball for the Shockers, biding his time, and he's going to pull up from the logo, and he's going to splash it for the win. 1.5 seconds to go. I mean, Clark, I like how calm it was. He just ran the clock all the way down, threw it up, and got Wichita State a big win to open the season. How about yours, though? I think you got another miraculous buzzer beater.
I found this one this morning. Like, I was shocked to see this one in. So this is UC Riverside in Arizona State. So you can see this is like one of those things where this is just whoa, the video is acting funky there. This is just a heave of desperation. You can see inbound pass, UC Riverside going to show it up. Oh, wait, did that go in? Yes, it did. You can see he was just a little past half court. They were down 63-65. That wins the game. That's luck, but still, that's good luck. So it's nice to have it on your side, I guess. Great win for UC Riverside. And yeah, that's probably going to be the best moment of his college career, getting that half-court buzzer. So.
Hey, rough week for the Pac-12, man. California lost to UC San Diego, a school that won't even be eligible for the NCAA tournament until 2024. So glad to see the Pac-12 is just as bad in basketball as they are in football.
They're consistent.
Yeah, there you go. Emmy, who do you got in this one? Which buzzer beater is going to take the win for you?
As incredible as that was, and as luck or not, it went in, and they won. So that's all that matters. That was awesome. But I'm gonna have to go with Adam on this one. I just like the confidence and the swag that he has before he steps back and takes that shot. It's incredible. I say Wichita State.
Good stuff. All right, tied at 1 after 2 rounds. Let's go to the gridiron. Clark, what's the best football play you saw this week?
All right, so hang on. Emmy, I'm sorry about the quality of this video. My computer's
gonna be
acting
okay
up for some reason. But remember when you were kids and you just kind of would throw those last-second pitches at the end of the game or randomly? Well, that's what Tua and Myles Gaskin did last night. You're going to see Tua gives him the handoff. Myles Gaskin throws him a pass. Tua throws it back to him. And Myles Gaskin actually gets the first down off of this. It was so cool to see that because it's one of those things I wish teams would do it more often, just because it's fun to see when it actually works. And it's kind of cool just how casual they were. Tua was completely relaxed when he caught the ball and threw it back to him again. So really enjoyed that.
Yeah, I was actually covering a 6-man football game last night, and that's what they do almost on every play. It's just little pitches like that. They'll be tackled and they'll just pitch it to another guy and he'll go in for the score. So a little bit of backyard football there, definitely cool to see in the NFL. But how about this? LSU going into enemy territory against Alabama. Ed Orgeron, he's already fired, so he's just pulling out all the stops, 4.5 minutes in. How about a fake punt from midfield? LSU punter Avery Atkins, he's going to go with a jump pass to Jack Mashburn. Jack Mashburn off to the races. He gets 26 yards on this play. But
yeah, that's impressive.
How about that from the punter, man? Just to take off. I mean, the skill on this jump pass. The dude sprints. He sprints about 10 yards, stops, and then just flips it over the Alabama defenders. I mean, pretty impressive play for a punter for me. So, Emme, who you got in this one? Which trick play is going to take the win?
I think it's pretty clear. I'm not just doing this because I played against Miles Gaskin last night in fantasy, and I'm kind of salty about that. That play is one of my favorite of college football. I think I sent that to my LSU friend, and we were just screaming because that's just so cool. That's what the game's all about. He really did pull out his stops. Have to give it to that one. But that one was really, really interesting to watch too. But I'm still kind of mad about Miles Gaskin.
I mean, how many points did he have last night?
It was only like 5, but still, it was enough because my fantasy team's really bad.
Oh,
hate to see it, but I mean, I guess Edwards run. What are they going to do? Fire him?
They can't. They can't.
All right, let's move on now. Worst blooper from this past week. Clark, we've already kind of ragged on the Pac-12. I'm going to rag on it a little bit more.
There we go.
Oregon taking on Washington. Washington down by 8 with 2 minutes to go. They're going to punt here. They said they've got 2 timeouts, so they'll play some defense. Oregon hasn't looked impressive, except they blow the snap over the punter's head.
Oh.
That's a safety, and that seals the game with 2 minutes to go. I mean, you look at the replay; it's not even close. I mean, Clark. I mean, you could have you could have anyone out there, and he's not getting that. So, just hate to see it for Washington. So that's how Oregon found a way to win yet again.
Adam, that brings me pain watching that play. And whoa. Sorry about that. Desk is unstable.
Pac-12 just making us really upset here. Man. Wait.
There's earthquakes in California, so I guess that's what was happening with this table here. But yeah, you know what else gives me pain though? This play. So this is also from Thursday Night Football last night. I don't know if any of y'all watched this. This was blowing up on Twitter. So Robert Hunt, he's an offensive lineman. He's going to score a touchdown, except it gets called back because he didn't report to the official. You can see he reaches over. He looks like a fullback running in the backfield. It's awesome to see. He reaches in, gets a touchdown, but it didn't count because it's illegal touching because he didn't report to the official. See, NFL officiating, they took away this man's touchdown. This was a touchdown. So Robert Hunt, in my heart, you won me over by scoring that touchdown, but didn't count. That was just rough.
That's why they call it the NFL.
Not fun league.
Yeah, exactly. But, Emme, who you got on the blooper for the week?
With all due respect to Robert Hunt, I think I'm going to have to go with that Washington State play. I just think you could see the defeat in the players and then just looking out like all sad. And I felt that, but it was also just like really upsetting for them. And Oregon, the sea of people love that. So.
And they keep hanging on, man. They keep barely beating these Pac-12 opponents.
Somehow.
Yeah, exactly. Time for a little bit of show and tell. Clark, what have you got to show this week?
Okay, so this is kind of sentimental because there's the file. So the Buffalo Sabres have had this play-by-play broadcaster for 51 years now. He's Rick Jeanette. We don't talk about hockey a lot. So as a gift for his final season, they decided to get a dog and name it after him. And the dog is really, really cute. It's a 70-pound Newfoundland.
Oh.
It's a great dog. And you can see.
It has a jersey.
Yeah, he's got his jersey, his own personal locker room. It's named Rick, just like that by the play-by-play broadcaster. And I thought that was kind of cool to see because that's kind of the nice thing. And, geez, that keeps happening with the table. You can't lean. It's really nice to see when professional sports organizations still kind of have that mom and pop feel where someone's been with them for a long time in capacity and they kind of do something cool to respect them like that. I digged it.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, that dog is going to be treated like royalty, too.
It's a beautiful dog. It's really, really cute. I want a dog like this.
Yeah, for sure. My show and tell this week, we're going to go back to the Pac-12. The best feat of athleticism I saw in the Pac-12 all week.
Yes.
We've got a fox on the field. But it gets better. So the fox is hanging out. It's still hanging out for a little bit. And then I think they start coming after it. And it takes off, man. This fox is not going to be caught right. There it goes. Look at this. It goes up in the stands. That fox is gone.
It's got hops.
I mean,
incredible.
Imagine that fox running the ball, man. He's outrunning any defender, I think. So, really good Animal Central show and tell. I mean, who's getting this one?
Can I do a tie?
Yeah, why not?
She's the judge.
Yeah,
I'm
there you
the
go.
judge.
You can make the rules.
Because do you see that dog in this jersey?
Yeah.
And also, that's just like one of my favorite things that happened this past weekend. So.
Y'all, I have a conspiracy theory about that fox. Do you remember what happened at Red River this year?
Yeah, there was a fox on the field.
Do you think that's the same fox?
Yeah, it's the same
Do
fox.
you think
It's making the rounds.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just going to travel.
It's going to go to
all
every
college.
Power 5 conference.
Please come to the national championship game. I want to see that fox on the
There you
field.
go. There you go. Well, that'll do it for Versus this week. Don't worry, though. Emmy's not going anywhere. She'll be back with us on the next segment. We've got some trivia. She's looking forward to trivia. And then we'll give you our college football playoff rankings since the committee can never get it right. Don't go anywhere. You're watching the 1-0 Sports Show.
As ready as I'll ever be. What is the trivia?
Welcome back on to the 1-0 Sports Show. We've reached the midpoint of the NFL season, and that means it's time for some trivia for all that's gone on in the first 9 weeks. Clark and Emme, you guys are going to be competing against each other. I've got the questions. I've got 7 of them lined up. So let's start. Through week 9, who do you guys think has the best offense by yardage in the league?
By yardage. Okay. Cowboys?
Emme, what do you think?
Either the Cowboys or the Bucks.
That is correct. It's the Cowboys.
Okay.
Next question, though. Who has the highest scoring offense in the league?
Not the Chiefs. That would have been
Not the
last year.
Bengals. Right? Not the Bengals.
Is it the Bucks?
Is that the Cardinals?
Clark got this one. It is the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. The Buccaneers averaging 32.5 points per game. So old Tom Brady and all his weapons,
Yeah.
they keep on rolling. Now let's go to the flip side. Who do you guys think has the best defense in the league by yardage?
Titans.
Cardinals?
It's neither of those. So it's in the AFC.
See, okay. No, I don't think it. Is it the? No, not the Bills, is it?
It is the Bills.
It is the Bills?
Yeah, the
I
Bills.
think I would not know that.
Only 260 yards given up per game. So
That's impressive.
unfortunately for them, though, the offense didn't show up this past week.
Yeah.
A
No.
9-6 loss to Jaguars. So Josh Allen, the Jaguars, he stole the show. He's the better
Yes.
Josh Allen on the field for sure.
They loved that little head-to-head.
Yeah. Let's flip to the opposite. Who has the worst defense in the league? We're going to narrow this down. They're in the AFC. So which AFC team has the worst defense in the league?
The Jaguars. No. The Texans?
No, it's not my Texans.
Sorry, bud.
Surprisingly, it's not the Texans.
Chiefs.
No.
It's not the Chiefs. I don't even have a guess.
Hang on, I'm trying to think.
They've
So you
scored
said it's in the AFC.
Yep, and they've scored a couple big upsets this year.
Big upsets. The Jets.
It is the Jets. They're giving up over 400 yards per game. So
Wow.
the offense hasn't been bad, though. I mean, they've had a couple of big breakout performances. Michael Carter hasn't looked bad. So the good old Jets. So now we're going to go on to specific players. Which
Okay.
quarterback do you guys think leads the league in passing yards?
Tom Brady.
TB12.
It is not Tom Brady. You're in the right conference, though. It is an NFC quarterback.
Okay.
Kyler Murray.
No, it's not Kyler.
No.
What are the divisions?
It's not Matthew Stafford.
It is Matthew Stafford. There you go,
okay.
Amy. Yeah, Matthew Stafford,
Good
2,771 passing yards.
Finally,
Yeah.
I got
Don't
something.
leave him hanging. Yeah, 2,770 passing yards.
Woo.
You got the Cowboys too. You
Okay,
got two.
I got two.
There you go.
Yeah.
Doing better than I thought I
she's
would.
heating up. She started slow. Now she's ready to go. Now let's go on to the ground game. Which running
Okay.
back leads the league in rushing yards?
Ooh.
Derrick Henry's hurt, so I'm guessing he's falling back.
It's Derrick Henry.
It is Derrick Henry.
Okay, I was like,
Even though he's hurt, he still has 115 more rushing yards than anyone else, 937 on the year. So,
okay.
I mean, I guess the dude's just a machine, though.
Okay.
I mean, would you want to tackle that dude?
No,
I'd run
he's
away.
massive. He's so big.
I'm running the other way. Like if Derrick Henry's coming towards me, I'm like just sprinting.
I
as
don't know
fast as
how
I
he's
can.
a real human being, like physically.
He's an absolute machine. I think he had a passing touchdown earlier this
He
year,
did
too.
against the Chiefs.
Yeah, he can do it all. All right, final question. There's a receiver that leads the league.
Chase.
There's a receiver
Is
that no.
Dang it.
There's a receiver that leads the league in both receptions and receiving yards. Which receiver is it?
I was gonna say Chase from the Bengals.
That's a good guess.
Right? He's like one of
He'll
the
probably be rookie of the year.
right because
should
he's
be
had 7
rookie of the year.
touchdowns.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, he was my guess. I was like, it's gonna be Chase. I knew, like, I was like, please.
No, not Devontae Adams. He hasn't had as big of a year.
CeeDee Lamb?
No. Jamar Chase is third in the league, though.
Oh, okay. So I
So
top
you
three.
weren't too far off.
Who Oh my God, yeah. I know this. Connor.
I think you're
James
close.
Conner.
Cooper
No.
Kupp.
Yes, it's Cooper Kupp.
Yeah.
Cooper Kupp, 74 receptions, 1,019 yards on the season. I mean, that dude is a nightmare to play against in fantasy. Because you know every week he's going to have like
He's
30
gonna do
points.
incredibly. Yeah.
So if you have Cooper Kupp on your team, you're doing great. If not, you might be crashing and burning when you play him. But that's it for trivia. I think, Clark, you got the win on that one. But, I mean, you got a couple right. You got the Matthew Stafford
That
one.
one,
Yeah,
that's
you
like,
did
I'm going to talk about that for a long time.
There you go. I think you got Derrick Henry, too. So,
Well, he gave me the idea, but
well,
I'm going to take
there
it.
you go.
I'm taking
you
it.
were confident.
Next time, let's do college football trivia, and then I got you.
Okay, there we go. Talking about college football, let's move on to our top 4 power rankings. Emme, do you want to go first? Kind of break down your top 4 for us?
Obviously, Georgia, they have one of the best defenses I've seen in a long time in college football. They're consistent. I wouldn't want to go against them. They're just, they play really well complementary football. Then I have Alabama because the college football committee loves them, and so of course they're going to be there. I really thought that Auburn would be able to upset them, but like they just had that loss to A&M, so now I'm just like, skeptical about that little happenstance, but I wonder if they're just putting them up there just to give them cushion just in case. That's just a classic. Then I have Cincy because even though a lot of people don't believe in them, they deserve to be up there. They have an undefeated record. I talk about this all the time, but college football's about winning, and we should reward that. Even the coach is like, come on, this is ridiculous. The committee is ridiculous right now. And then I have Oregon because who are they going to compete against in the Pac-12?
Maybe themselves.
Themselves at this point. So I don't know. I think they'll probably end up. I think it's like what, a 52% chance that they make the Final Four. So it's like
There's not much competition.
There's not much competition. Like who are they going to lose to going forward? So I don't know. They'll probably end up at the number 4 spot. But those are my top 4.
I agree with you on the top 2. Georgia, I think, is far and away the best team.
Yes.
I'll be surprised if they don't win the
100%.
national championship. I have Alabama at 2 as well, just because no one else really looks impressive. Honestly, this past week especially, there weren't too many impressive teams. I know.
Except for TCU.
There you go. Hey, the Horned Frogs. I know the committee, Oregon beat Ohio State earlier in this year, but the committee is Michigan ranked above Michigan State, even though Michigan State beat Michigan. So I'm going to put Ohio State at 3 above Oregon just on the eye test, just because Oregon has been struggling with mediocre Pac-12 opponents. I mean, they almost lost to a Cal team that was 1-5 at the time. So I'm going to put Ohio State. They had an impressive 9-point win over Penn State, beat Nebraska by 9, blew out Indiana. So we'll see how they do against Purdue tomorrow. And I'm going to slot Cincinnati in there for. They haven't been helping their case. They have not looked impressive the past couple weeks against the likes of Tulsa, Navy, and Tulane. You obviously want to see more convincing wins, but if there's ever a year where a group of 5 team is going to get in, it's going to be this year just because the rest of college football beneath Georgia is pretty chaos. It seems like almost every other top 5 team could lose on any given week.
Yeah.
Absolutely. It's fair to say college football has gone boink.
Yeah, it's a parody. It's a parody.
That's an appropriate sound effect at the
we
end
go.
of the college football season.
There we go.
So on to mine. I do it a little bit differently with the rankings. Teams that are undefeated, I always put at the top. So I have Georgia and Cincinnati at 1 and 2. Then I have Alabama and Ohio State. But I will say this. I'm a cynic when it comes to the college football selection committee. I said this last year because I put Cincinnati in the playoff last year as well. And then I switched it to Notre Dame because I said Notre Dame would get in because they're a big brand. And guess what? If Cincinnati does not play up to the same par that they did earlier in the year, they will not make the playoff. Even if they go undefeated, they can't keep winning games by 6 or 7 points. You have to beat opponents by 14 to 15 points. And Oregon is a big brand. So that's why I think they actually will get in at the end of the year. Right now, I think these are the 4 best teams, but I'm not sure that this will be the result by the end of the year, even though I would love to see a Cincinnati-Ohio State national championship just because a state championship's kind of cool for a national championship.
That would be incredible.
Is Oklahoma win if they win out, you think? Because obviously the Sooners are sitting undefeated right now.
I have something to say about Oklahoma. I don't want to spoil it. It might relate to something on the show this week. So.
We'll save it for later.
Yeah.
So we'll save Clark's thoughts.
Table that.
There you go. Well, Emme, thank you so much for coming on this morning. It was fun having you on. When we come back, we've got Connor Hixon joining us. He does some work with UT basketball. He's going to break down the opening week and give us everything to look forward with this team this year, kind of introduce us to the new faces, so you won't want to miss that. And then as Clark alluded to, we've got the pick'ems coming up at the end of the show. So don't go anywhere. You're watching the 1-0 Sports Show. Welcome back into the 1-0 Sports Show. I know we normally talk about football during this block. Normally have a guest in and talk about football, but we're flipping gears this week because Texas is a basketball school now, joined by Connor Hixon, who does some statistics with Texas basketball. Connor, how are you doing this morning?
Doing good, doing good. Looking forward to the game on Saturday. You know, the real game, Texas basketball, not Texas football.
There you go.
So I'm excited to watch them.
For sure, and it starts just in time where Texas fans can shut off the second half of the Kansas game and flip over to watch Gonzaga. But Connor, you can probably describe this better than me, so you just kind of want to explain to the audience kind of what your role with the basketball team is?
Yeah, absolutely. So this new coaching staff has been very grateful for me. They've been a blessing for my life, allowing me to come in and just do analytics for them. I've been able to do some team analytics. And then I've also been able to do some scouting analytics. So for instance, looked at the Gonzaga, looked at different metrics, analytics for them, percentage of players, how many times do they do pick and roll plays. For Timmy Allen, he's very heavy on post-ups. Their new freshmen are in. They kind of have a lower analytics because they haven't played as much. So looking at their metrics versus their expedition games and also versus Dixie State, which was their first game. So been able to help out with that.
Good stuff, getting down the nitty-gritty stuff there.
Yeah, nitty-gritty, absolutely. So.
Yeah, those are like really specific details too. I like how you noticed that Timmy Allen likes to use the post a lot, because I just love his footwork down there. And he was important in their debut along with a lot of other players. But what stood out to you about Texas's home opener against Houston Baptist?
Yeah, absolutely. I think this team's very talented. I think we can all know that. These guys are very experienced guys, but there's a lot of inexperience working together. And that's kind of what Spears kind of been talking about in his press conference as well. But yeah, I mean, we shot the ball fantastic versus Houston Baptist. And Clark, I know you kind of mentioned it in the segment before. But yeah, we shot 56% from three. I mean, you shoot 56% from three, you're probably going to win that game. And then we're second in the country right now in effective field goal percentage. Basically what effective field goal percentage is you're putting more of a weight on three-pointers because three-pointers are harder than two-pointers, but they're worth more. So we are second in the country in effective field goal percentage, which Gonzaga was first in the country last year. And we know how, it was either Gonzaga or Baylor. So both of them were top 1 and 2 in that category.
There you go.
So we shot fantastically, and I think if we shoot like that, we can beat anyone in the country. And we're exciting. We're fun to watch. All that, it was just fun. The atmosphere was great, and I just had so much fun watching the team.
For sure. I think you mentioned there, this team is deep. I mean, they run 8, 9, 10 guys deep, but obviously you have some returning players in, Andrew Jones, Courtney Ramy, you have some big-time transfers, Marcus Carr, the Timmy Allens. Who do you think is going to kind of be the star man, or maybe two players who you really think are going to carry this Texas team, who are going to be the face of this Texas team this year?
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's led by Marcus Carr. Marcus Carr is from Minnesota, averaged around 20 points at Minnesota. There was talks of him even going to the NBA before this. I think he even explored that option a little bit before transferring to Texas. But he had 7 assists versus Houston Baptist. I think last year one of the main analytics I found was Matt Coleman. Matt Coleman led the team in assisted three-pointers. Marcus Carr is now filling that role. 7 assists last night, was getting the ball to the big man, had a nice alley-hoop to Christian Bishop, kind of got the crowd into it late in the game. But yeah, I think we're going to go as far as he can lead us. Had a nice step-back three-pointer with the shot clock winding down in the first half. So I think he's going to be our playmaker. He's going to get the ball to Andrew Jones for three-pointers. He's going to get it down low. He's going to feed Bishop. He's going to feed Timmy Allen down there. I also like Timmy Allen a lot. He's coming over from Utah. Clark, I know you kind of talked about it. He's not a big three-point shooter. You're not going to see him shoot a lot of threes. I know the team has really been working on him with that and wanting him to shoot more threes. But he's the point forward. He's a bigger man. He likes to drive, loves to drive it in. So I think he's also going to be a featured guy that might even be close to leading the team in points. So that's something to watch for. I think he's going to have a big game against Gonzaga coming up this Saturday.
Yeah, I really like Timmy Allen a lot, so I'm glad to hear that. But there are definitely some stars on the team already, but it feels like every year, this kind of happened a few years ago with Jackson Hayes, there's 1 or 2 players on a team who there's something inside of them they haven't tapped into just yet, but eventually when they break it, it explodes. Is there a guy like that on this team this year?
Yeah, absolutely. I think staying with our big men. Texas has been known for developing their big men.
Yep.
Have a lot of lottery picks the past couple years. And I think it's going to be Dylan Disu coming over from Vanderbilt. He's injured right now, so not a lot of people are familiar with him. But that's a name to watch. I'm not sure if he's going to be ready to go for Gonzaga. They've said that the process is coming back. He's going to be back pretty soon. I'm not sure if he'll be able to play against Gonzaga. But this is a guy who likes to shoot three-pointers. He can shoot the ball really good. He's got the height. He's about 6'10". He's tall. He can shoot over anyone. He likes to pick and pop when you're going through the pick and roll. He's kind of like Trey Mitchell in a lot of sense. Kind of have similar game, but not many people know about him. He's a 3-star. He's actually out of the Austin area. So it's really cool that he's able to come back and be here in Austin. But I think he's got potential that can explode. I think he's going to be a guy we're probably talking about in the NBA soon. I'm not sure if he has that lottery potential, but I think like Jackson Hayes, he could have that lottery potential. And he shot, I think, 37% from three at Vanderbilt. So this is a guy to look for. I know a guy that the team has really been raving about and really impressed is Courtney Ramy. And we've kind of saw him take kind of a next step versus Houston Baptist. Had, I think, six three-pointers, 5 three-pointers. So this is a guy who can really shoot the ball. And it can also be another playmaker. I think look for him to kind of take on that lead role behind Marcus Carr of assist making.
Yeah, for sure. And I think Dylan Disu probably will help out with the rebounding too, because I know they had rebounding issues against Houston Baptist on Tuesday. Moving forward, though, now, going from Tuesday now to that big game against Gonzaga on Saturday, you said you've been kind of scouting the Zags. Obviously, you've been keeping analytics for the Longhorns. So what do you think the keys are to Texas' victory over Gonzaga tomorrow night?
Yeah, I think it comes down to defending their 2 best players. And who are they? They're Drew Timme and they're Chet Holmgren. And both of those guys, they're a force down low. Drew Timme is incredible in the paint. One thing I did see, though, is he shoots 30% out of the paint. Any shots outside the paint, he only shoots 30%, so he's really not. But that's a low sample size. But he doesn't really shoot the ball from 3 that great. He only shoots about 1 a game. But it's stopping this prospect, the number 1 prospect, Chet. And he's 7 foot. I mean, he's really skinny, but 7 blocks. 7 blocks, tied, I think, a Gonzaga record. So 7 blocks, 6 assists, 14 points. I think they go kind of with him. Their guards, obviously, they lost Jalen Suggs. And so their guards were kind of their focal point last year a little bit. They were the ones drafted high in the draft. But now this year, it's kind of moved off. They have experience at the guard position, got a transfer from Iowa State, who I believe averaged around 15 points. So he adds experience to them, but it's stopping the big men. If we can stop them, if Drew Timme can have around 10 points, maybe stop even Chet Holmgren to around 10, I think that's a big success for Texas. Allow the guards to beat you. Don't allow the bigs to beat you.
Yeah, and that's going to be a key all season because we know that's kind of still, losing Kai Jones and Greg Brown, you kind of wonder how Trey Mitchell and all their bigs are going to step up. But there's a lot of talent on this team, and that should incite excitement inside of you as a Texas fan. What do you think the ceiling is for this team this year?
Man, I think we're a Final Four team is the ceiling. Absolutely. I know kind of what we talked about. It might take some time to get there.
Hope that works out better this year than last year.
Yes, absolutely. But yeah, no, this team is, I feel like there's something different about this team. Chris Beard brings in an attitude of winning. He knows how to win. He did it at Texas Tech. He took him to the championship, which he was an overtime away from winning the national championship for Tech. He's got so many different resources. I think that's the ceiling. Obviously, as Texas fans and just as the Department of Texas, we're quick to say, we're going to the Final Four. But give this team time. Come March, I think we're going to really be peaking by March. It might take some time. We might lose, a rough road game in the conference, but come March, I think we're really going to be ready to play. And I think the ceiling is absolutely Final Four.
Yeah, I kind of said this. You see it like with the Kentuckys and the Dukes each year. They have all those young freshmen. It takes time to gel, and then they peak in March. So I think this Texas team, with all those transfers coming together, hopefully would be a similar story. Well, Connor, thank you for joining us to break down basketball. Don't worry, though. He's not going anywhere. We're going to test his football knowledge. We've got our pick'ems coming up. You won't want to go anywhere. You're watching the 1-0 Sports Show. For the final time on this Friday, welcome back into the 1-0 Sports Show. It's time for our favorite part of the week. it's time to pick some games that are going down this weekend. We're going to start in the NFL. First off, the Cowboys, your Broncos, they had a big win over the Cowboys last week. Will the Cowboys bounce back? They're 8.5-point favorites when they host the Falcons on Sunday. Do they win or cover? Clark, what do you think? Who's your pick?
I got the Cowboys in this one. I think they're just too angry from that loss against the Broncos, and their offense is going to start to find their form again.
Exactly. That's exactly what I had in my note. I wrote angry Cowboys. I don't think the Falcons defense is going to like the angry Cowboys. I think they pull away. I think they win this one by 2 scores. Connor, who you got in this one?
Man, I got the Cowboys winning, but I got the Falcons covering the spread. I think maybe Dak Prescott isn't fully back to healthy. Yeah, we saw a different type. Obviously, he kept going 3 and out, so maybe he got his break last week. But yeah, I got the Falcons. They played some really close games. They got the Saints last week, so I got the Falcons covering the spread in this one.
Let's go over to the AFC West. Big game in Vegas on Sunday night. The Chiefs taking on the Raiders. Chiefs 2.5-point favorites in this one. Clark, who do you have?
I think that spread is a little bit too low just because of the Raiders' dysfunction. So I'm going to go with the Chiefs. Even though I think they will struggle, I think the Chiefs are probably going to win by about a touchdown.
I agree with that. Raiders just lost the Giants last week. Giants are not a good football team, and they don't even have Saquon Barkley right now. Like you said, no head coach. They've had the Henry Ruggs show them off the field. I think Chiefs bounce back. Probably not a pretty win, but I think they win, like you said, by about a score. Connor, who do you have in this one?
Yeah, I'll take the Chiefs as well. I think a big thing to look for is look to see if Clyde Edwards-Helaire plays this week. I think kind of this dysfunction kind of started when he got hurt, so we'll see if the Chiefs can kind of bounce back this week.
Going to stay on the West Coast. NFC West matchup on Monday night. Rams 3.5-point favorites against the 49ers. Connor, we'll start with you on this one.
Yeah, I know the Rams lost last week to the Titans, but I think the Rams bounce back. Getting OBJ, I'm not sure if he'll play this week, but yeah, I like the Rams.
This is one of those spreads where you look at it and it's like, man, this is way too low. Isn't it only 3.5 points? I mean, the 49ers have not been impressive this year. I think the Rams offense takes control on Monday night. I think they win this one by 2 scores. So give me the Rams, and they cover convincingly.
This is another revenge game, just like the Cowboys. Rams got embarrassed on Sunday Night Football. They don't want to get embarrassed against their rival on Monday Night Football. I'm taking the Rams.
Let's flip now to the college level. Big matchup in the Big 12 on Saturday. Number 8 Oklahoma taking on number 12 Baylor. The Sooners are 5.5-point favorites. But Clark, I know you got something you want to say about this game.
Texas fans, you'll be happy with me because I didn't take Oklahoma this week. I don't know. This is just kind of one of those things where it's like a 50-50 pick, but for some reason I just have a gut instinct that Oklahoma will lose one game at one point, and there's 2 they could lose possibly. Baylor's one of them, and the other is Oklahoma State. So I feel like even though Baylor did lose against TCU, they're going to be extra motivated to go as hard as they can against Oklahoma, and it being in Waco is another big factor. I think Baylor wins by like a point.
Man, Oklahoma, I mean, Caleb Williams, this has been a different team since he came in. Before he came in, they were winning every game by 1 score, whether they were playing Tulane or Texas. I think this offense is different with him. I think it's going to be a close game, but I think Oklahoma wins this one by about a touchdown. These Sooners have a brutal schedule the next 3 weeks. It's Baylor, Iowa State, Oklahoma State. Wouldn't be surprised if maybe they drop one, but I think they can go into Waco with their new offense led by Caleb Williams and take care of business. I've got the Sooners to win and to cover.
Yeah, I'll take OU also to win and cover. I know that pains me to say. But yeah, I think Caleb Williams is a star. We need to get someone like that at UT. He is legit. I think he's a real deal. And yeah, I think they're going to cover. They're going to go into Waco and cover. But yeah, I think OU could have some trouble, but I don't think it's going to come this week.
Go from the explosive offenses in the Big 12 to some smash-mouth football in the Big 10. Number 7, Michigan, traveling to Penn State. The Wolverines are 1-point favorites on Saturday morning. Connor, who do you have in this one?
I'll take Michigan. I don't think they should be ranked above Michigan State, but that's for the committee and not for me. So I'll take Michigan to cover and to win in this game.
Clark, who do you have in this one?
I have another upset. I don't trust Jim Harbaugh in rivalry games. I think James Franklin wants to end this Penn State season on the right note, and Penn State played pretty well against Ohio State, and they're in Happy Valley, which is a place where Harbaugh always struggles, so I think that just gives them a slight edge.
Man, my concern for Penn State is they're almost one-dimensional. I mean, they throw 99 combined passes the past 2 weeks. I think this Michigan offense, they average 234 yards a game on the ground. I think this will be a tight game. I think Michigan will be able to run the clock and move the football at the ground game and eke out a tight victory in Happy Valley. Give me the Wolverines to win and to just about cover the spread. Staying in the Big Ten, interesting one in Ohio on Saturday. Purdue traveling to number 5 Ohio State, looking for another upset. They're 20.5-point underdogs. Connor, who do you have to win or to cover?
Yeah, I have Ohio State winning, but that spread, 20.5 points. I'll take Purdue to cover the spread. Purdue has, they've knocked out Iowa, Michigan State. I know they did that at home, and they're now traveling to Ohio State, but I got them covering. Maybe not be too close, but they're definitely cover that 20-point spread.
Great pick. Basketball guy knows what he's talking about. How about these Boilermakers? Aiden O'Connell, their quarterback, he threw for 536 yards this past week. Their leading receiver, David Ball, over 1,000 yards on the year. I think this Purdue team has the offense. Like Connor said, I don't think it'll be close. I think Ohio State will probably end up winning by about 2 scores, 2 touchdowns, but I think Purdue can definitely keep it within 20.5 points.
Yeah, 20.5 is way too high of a spread for this game because Purdue's a much better team than people give them credit for. I still think Ohio State wins this game.
Do they cover?
No. I think Purdue. Let's go with a touchdown victory.
Okay.
Purdue's going to be excited after their upset of Michigan State last week.
We're all on consensus there, so we'll see if the Boilermakers can keep it close on Saturday. Let's go now to primetime SEC football. Number 14, Texas A&M, 2.5-point favorites at number 16, Ole Miss. Clark, who do you have in this one?
I got it. Texas A&M's defense has been way too impressive for the last few weeks, so I got to take the Aggies.
I agree. I think Zach Calzada has kind of settled in. He was a liability for them early in the year, but I feel like he's kind of has the control of the offense, and like you said, that defense is just much too good. I think A&M gets a tight victory in Oxford. I think they find a way to win. They held Auburn to just 3 points a week ago. I think they can frustrate Ole Miss again.
Yeah. I'll take Ole Miss. I think playing at Ole Miss, I think that's going to be a factor. I think their quarterback gets going. I'll take Ole Miss to cover and win.
Interesting Big 12 game now also on Saturday night. TCU coming off that big upset victory over Baylor. They got Jerry Kill as their interim head coach right now. They're 13-point underdogs when they travel to Stillwater to take on the old Pokes. Connor, who do you have in this one?
Yeah, that TCU quarterback that came in, wow, he's electric.
Chandler Morris.
Chandler Morris, yeah, I really like him. But I got Oklahoma State to win, but I got TCU to cover in this one. I think it's going to be close, but I do think Oklahoma State will win this game.
Another great pick there. I think this Oklahoma State defense is legit. That's the only reason that they've been so good this year, and I think that'll play itself out again on Saturday. I think TCU will keep it close with their newfound quarterback in Chandler Morris. Only issue is the Horned Frogs are banged up at running back. They might be only down to 1 scholarship running back on Saturday night. I think that gives Oklahoma State the advantage. I think they win this one by about 10 points.
That sounds about right. Let's make it a hat trick. TCU covers the spread, but Oklahoma State gets the victory.
Yeah.
All right, time for the second biggest attraction on Saturday night here in Austin. The Longhorns hosting the Kansas Jayhawks in football. 30.5-point favorites. Clark, what do you make of that spread? What are your predictions for the game?
The spread is too high, and I feel like every time I've picked Texas on air this year, they have lost. So do I need to do the reverse psychology and maybe pick Kansas? Let's not pick Kansas for victory just to be safe, but I don't think Texas is good enough to win by 30 points right now.
Great pick again. I think Texas will blow Kansas away eventually, but I don't think they're blowing them away by 30.5 points. I see it more as a 21, 24-point victory. Kansas State beat Kansas by 25 last week. I think this Texas team, this is the team they need to play to get their feet back underneath them. This is a Kansas team that doesn't have a star playmaker like Puka Williams. This is a bad Kansas team as far as even bad Kansas teams go. I think Texas wins convincingly, but not 30.5 points convincingly.
Yeah, I'll take Texas to win and to cover. I think Bijan will have 3 touchdowns. I think hopefully the Bo Davis video kind of fires the team up. But yeah, I think this is a get-right game for Texas. I think they're better than they've played the past couple weeks, and I think they cover that spread.
Now time for the big one on Saturday night. We're just going to pick this one straight up. I'm not sure what the line is. Texas traveling up to Spokane to take on Gonzaga. Can the Longhorns pull off the stunning victory? Clark, what do you think?
I want to pick Texas. I want to. Every part of my Texas bias wants me to, but right now I just think Gonzaga is the better team. I think it's going to be a really close game. It could come down to the final minute, but for now, I will take Gonzaga.
Look, we don't get paid anything to do any of these picks, so I'm just going to say Texas. But Gonzaga, they have lost. They lost their 3 starters. Obviously, they got Drew Timme and their star freshman, but I think this Texas team is how deep they are. If you're going to play Gonzaga, you probably want to play them now. They're still kind of getting new starters integrated. Obviously, Texas is the same, but I think Texas experience could play a key role. It's going to be a tight game. Will Gonzaga win? Probably, but give me Texas. I think they can go up to Spokane, pull off the upset with the deep talent they have.
Yeah, I can't wear this shirt and not pick Texas. But yeah, I got Texas. I think this is a huge game. I mean, Spokane, there was no there was no fans in the stadium last year. This is going to be loud. This is going to be energetic. It's sad that it's on ESPN2 at 9:30, but it's going to be a fun game to watch. I think win or lose, this is a great game for Texas. They show how good they are. Let's see how good they are. Houston Baptist wasn't a very good school.
Yeah.
This is a gut punch. Win or lose, this is going to be a great game for Texas. But I got Texas going in there. Chris Beard, a legit win on the road to get this season started.
Definitely a good measuring stick for sure. Connor, thank you for joining us this morning.
Absolutely.
Great having you on. That's all we've got for today. Make sure you tune in next week at 10 a.m. and be sure to check out our sister shows. We've got College Press Box coming to you on Monday nights at 9:30. We'll break down all the UT results from this past week on that one. And then College Crossfire, the hottest debate on the 40 acres, hosted by Drew Jacob on Wednesday nights at 9. So definitely make sure to check those out. For Clark and Connor, we've got Edley running things behind the scenes here, John over in Master Control. I'm Adam Ogburn. Thank you so much for joining us this morning. Have a great rest of your day and a great weekend as well.